Hello, aquarium keeper or fish lover. Today our fish disease case number 10 about the marine fish Chaetodontoplus. Marines are suffering from head and lateral line erosion, a mix of infections, a serious problem in many of our varieties of marine fish. And you can see here on the picture that the lesions here on the lining, that's the lateral line of the fish, but also the head region of the fish. And the head region of the fish, that's also an extension of the lateral line. So the lateral line organ is here around the eyes, on the cheek, on the gill covers, and here on the head. And you can see it here on the picture, and you can see it here in the aquarium, where we were called in to help the fish importer of this problem with several of this kind of fish. Here the fish will commonly appear and be interested to eat something to show, and you can see here the lesions, all the lateral line, all the erosions. It's a syndrome, it's an erosion. We will talk about what we find, because we will examine this fish by taking some scrapings from the head and some excrements. We didn't sacrifice the fish. We didn't do an autopsy in detail. So we took a scraping of the fish from the holes or part of the area. If we can see if we could find something specific as parasites, what else. So the only thing we could see was a damaged area, but you could see no parasites, nothing making holes. The only thing we could see was a good amount of bacteria, which you can see here around on the spikes of the scales. But that's all we could notice in our microscopic examination. So the next step was for us to examine the excrements. And here we collected fresh excrements on a plate. You can do it by squeezing the fish a little bit and squeezing it out. I didn't take a video from that because I was on location in Madrid doing that, so I was not having the material. But this we started to examine and looking what we found. And in the microscope here, we could see at about a 100 magnification all those little buggers here moving around. So we say, well, let's go to a higher magnification of 200, 300 nearly here. We could see all little parasites, and these are Spironucleus. Used to be called hexameta, but here all those little parasites were in between excrements found. And this is a typical way to find these parasites by taking some fresh excrements. But I must tell you, take fresh excrements, because if they're not fresh, you will not find the parasites, or you'll find other parasites which are not the main pathogenic parasites. And here we saw something in between. Something we will show on the next video. Well, we see here the parasites of Spironucleus, and we see here one coming here and one coming here. So I was surprised to see something more. Not one parasite, but also a second one, which is called Protopalina. So we said, well, let's examine more details of other parts of the excrements, because sometimes we found the Spironucleus, the very tiny ones, in specific parts of the intestine. I might explain that in other cases to come, where I take a whole excrement and show you what we can find in different parts of the excrements. But usually here the Spironucleus are sitting together at the same part of the intestine. And then we looked further in the excrements, and we found these Protopalina parasites. The more elongated, here that's at 100 magnification. And you see them moving around, they're very active, moving around. And you can imagine what this do in the microbiome and to the gut lining of the fish. I explained it in one of my first cases, what head and lateral line erosion is as an impact. I think it was case number 2 or number 3. Check it out. I had more details on the whole problem, what head and lateral line erosion is all about the disrupting the immune system, because the microbiome. And I explain you here later on about this case. Here, look, here is a parasite dividing, which is interesting to understand what is happening. Here more magnification, 400, 300, 400 magnification. These are parasites moving around, very active, permanently eating, looking for food. They are like a big group sitting together. So they can easily be identified just by taking taking a fresh sample of excrements. And here we show the one which is dividing, because these parasites multiply very fast just by dividing. Here we see it happening while looking at the microscope. And that's why they multiply so fast and can become a very nasty infection very rapidly within a few days and causing a lot of damage to the fish. And the damage of the fish is losing the immunity and showing the head lateral line erosion. And it's a combination, like I explained in the previous case, that there are parasites, there's some environmental factors playing a role, there are some bacteria or other viruses or fungi in the water, and altogether it's a combination that makes the disease as an outbreak, and the fish show particular symptoms. So for the treatment of this co-infection, first of all, think about good water quality. Maybe do a good water change here, or do a proper filter cleaning. That at the same time is a very well preparing the best conditions for your fish. Avoid crowded conditions. Avoid too many fish together, because then the disease can spread easily. Apply an antibacterial medication, because here bacteria is causing the lesions, not the parasite. So you can use, in this case, pheraltadone at 1.5 grams per 100 liters. Use it in combination with metronidazole, because the metronidazole kills the parasites. The parasite is inside intestine. You see how skinny the fish already was. So the parasite had a bad impact. So the metronidazole will kill the parasites in the fish, but also in the water, because they're spreading to possible other fish, other angelfish or tangs or other Chaetodontoplus. I also recommend to combine it with food. The food with pro and phytobiotics, like we have in our Dr. Bassleer Biosis food, Lapacho. With Lapacho, it's for the repair and the fight of the parasites. The garlic is inside, and also we have immunostimulants to help the immunity of the fish. So the Lapacho would be a good combination together with the medications you give. And I can say avoid the spreading. Word biosecure. Don't use the same net for this aquarium and for another aquarium, for example. It can be a risk of spreading. Similar symptoms appeared with a NASO tank at the same location which was doing my work that day. And you will see when this fish turns around this NASO, we will see also that he started to suffer from head and lateral line erosion next to the lesions he had on the body. But you can see here the head regions and the head lateral line also starting to erode. And also he had already some damage on the body. So I might suspect that this vet had the same problem, and that you can give it the same kind of medication, because this disease, head lateral line erosion, is common for tangs and angelfish and Chaetodontoplus and Zanklus, these kind of species. So that was this case. And the next case, number 11, I will talk about the TROPHEUS MOLIROs. That's for the cichlid lovers. More in detail coming soon. Thank you.